And good evening, one and all, and welcome back to the Blue Rose Respite for my soothing Sunday night streams. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, guys, as we will be continuing some more Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York. How's everyone going in chat this evening? I hope you've all been having an awesome weekend. My weekend's been going pretty good. Last night was a lot of fun, just mostly chilling out, all that good stuff. But just a heads up, I might be having a slightly shorter stream tonight, maybe closer to 2 hours or so. We're just going to see how I feel, because I might be coming down with something, just because my voice wasn't doing too good this afternoon, and I don't want to accidentally strain myself, just because I'm going to be doing a lot of talking this stream. So we might be going just a little bit shorter than usual, but I have some tea, and we will have a lot of fun tonight. But thank you all so very much for joining me this evening. I am very excited to see what lies ahead in this game, because Sophie is wonderful and I love her, and I think everyone else loves her too. But just again, a heads up, as this is a game that is set in World of Darkness, it does bring up some heavy themes, some dark topics, and explores maybe some taboo points of conversation. So just a quick content warning ahead. If things get uncomfortable for you in any way, feel free to step away. Just practice self-care, okay guys? But we were busy making new friends last time. Yes. Last stream we struck up a friendship with a lovely Malkavian named Hope. And we have a number of other very interesting individuals that we are going to be getting in contact with this evening. I'm very curious about the Tremere and the Gangrel and the Nosferatu. Like, all the characters in this game are so interesting, so fascinating. Sophie appears. Mother, apologies. Mother, apologies. Well, we see more of Hope's only fangs. I'm not quite sure. I think maybe the last time we spoke to her, that was like her hazing ritual to kind of make sure that you would vibe good together. That you passed. But we passed the vibe check. We passed Hope's vibe check, so I think we're in the clear for that. And hey, Scarlett, how's it going, Scarlett? I'm so glad you're able to join us tonight. Take a seat. Enjoy yourself. Make sure everyone in chat behaves themselves. But I'm really curious about this Tremere, so why don't we have a look and see what he has to say. It's a kind of magic. Sophie's mention of a vampire clan of blood sorcerers sparked your attention. One of them, Agathon, could potentially be your introduction into the bizarre powers of the Tremere. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore smack dab in the middle of Broadway of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. From what you heard about the Tremere, they are infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet, now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it all feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from... I'm going to mispronounce that horribly, apologies. Ayurvedic practices and homeopathy to wellness and self-motivation. The vaguely amusing juxtapositions don't end there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked behind a cheap, smiling Buddha. Inside, a scientific journal on the hematology sits next to a teen-oriented pamphlet on the blood-type personality theory. A number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display and between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny, Far East-tinged music seeping through the crackling speaker mounted above the entrance. Hang on, just going to quickly adjust the brightness on my monitor. There we go. It's much more quaint than you expected from what Sophie told you about the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. Then again, if there's anything you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. Indeed they can be. At this time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. Ding dong. You hear someone shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, the latch slides and the door is pushed open just a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothes appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, stretching at her tattooed neck. Finally, she squints in your general direction. Her pierced lip curves into an awkward smile. Cut to the chase. I just ask, is Agathon in? Because those seem kind of like mundane questions, and that's a bit too on the nose, so ask directly for Agathon. I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look over, but opens the door. She takes a few steps back, and you hear footsteps coming from behind a floral curtain that covers the back door. A bespectacled, smart-looking woman emerges and looks straight at you. Oh, you're cool. I like your vibe. I like your look. We're just gonna be best friends, aren't we? You're not at all going to try and kill me later. Come in and follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stuffy air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and a dozen other aromas. Didn't know how I was in this game. What is it with me and being in games that I didn't sign up for? Like, with Mad Father, like, the mom looked so much like me, it was a little unsettling, and maybe like her hair's maybe closer to black than auburn. The woman leads you behind the curtain and through the back door, onto a rickety staircase. A flight of steps, sorry, I was taken aback because this room looks so cool. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice the change in decor, as the tacky New Age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. Honestly, I'm down for the vibe of this place, because... Oh, that looks cool. Hang on. Oh, what I would give to just, like, read some of the books in that place. It's so cool. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It takes you a moment to adapt and focus. I don't think you know who you are speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge. Aisling Sturbridge, and I'm the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. If her name's Aisling, I feel like I should give her an Irish accent. My Irish accent isn't that great, though, because I'm worried about embarrassing myself. I could try, though, just to make her voice a little bit different. I don't think you know who you're speaking with, so an introduction is in order. My name is Aisling Sturbridge, and I am the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You're Stephanie, correct? I have to say, you're lucky the ward outside the Wilton is only here for notifications tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he's hard at work and I wouldn't want to disturb him. Am I to understand this is a social visit? Oh, Berserk Boy, good question. I'm honestly just seeing how this month goes, just because I'm already starting to get a little bit burnt out from what I've been planning for Halloween and stuff. So I'm gonna look around for like games that might be coming around, or like maybe some new games might be coming out on Halloween, but I haven't yet fully decided what I'm going to be streaming in November. I do think I am going to be going back to doing a Boyfriend Dungeon for my Sunday streams, just because I want to finish that story. But for my Friday streams, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to play next. That's a bit snappy. Salvaholder, thank you so much for the 4-month resub. 4 months already, time goes fast between streams. Indeed it does, and thank you so much for your amazing ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Oh, sorry, I should have clarified. I do want to finish the main story of this game, so it's not like when we get to the end of October, I'm going to be stopping the story here and now. We'll finish this this game, and then afterwards we'll be finishing up Boyfriend Dungeon as well. And hey, Deadpool, how's it going? Glad you could drop by. I'm not going to just because I'm going to play along like, oh yes, I know what a High Regent is. It sounds very important. Wait, how do you know who I am? Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in the city is one of my duties as High Regent. But more importantly, you've been on the mind of many a kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite a precedent, as I'm sure you know, a first son to Prince Panhard. And for Sophie to be the one to do it. Curiouser and curiouser. Hey, Kajira-sama! Glad you could drop by. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. I would say, because she seems to have some level of respect or understanding of Sophie, so I'm going to drop Sophie's name. Sophie suggested I should meet Agathon. She says he's quite knowledgeable. Did she now? Aisling looks you up and down. Her countenance seems unchanged, but you can tell she's judging what you said. Hey, Q, how's it going? Welcome back. And it's totally fine. Really hope things are going well with uni. That's new. Suddenly a man enters from a side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it, Aisling. I think I know how to find it. He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? I'm assuming he already knows who we are because, like, talk gets around in kindred circles. And yeah, like, I think it's like the furrowed brow and like the really heavy, like, bags under the eyes from, like, lack of sleep and furious study. This guy is the bard. No, honestly, Scarlet, Hope is probably maybe the bard or maybe more of the warlock. I don't know. But he does seem somewhat familiar. Yes, Sophie Langley recommended that I contact you about teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? I could use your knowledge. Well, I could use your knowledge. I'm new here, and a scholar like you could teach me a lot, I imagine. You're not wrong. He turns to Aisling. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks you over as if judging your worth. It takes it just long enough for you to make you feel uncomfortable. Actually, my child, I would consider giving this one a chance to prove their worth. Oh? She addresses you. I'm trying to understand why Langley took an interest in you, Stephanie, and I might have got a glimpse of her reasoning. I think you may be of aid to Agathon in his current task. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation on what it is you're after? Agathon gives Aisling a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I have been tasked with recovering her research notes. If there's anything left to recover, that is. I may have an idea of where to start looking, but I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact. Given the time we've just wasted on idle chatter, I should leave immediately. And the missing kindred, who is she? A single glance at Aisling is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least for now. Fair enough. We're after her research. That's what you should focus on. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Yeah, sure. We need to prove ourselves and I need allies, so yeah, I'll help you with this. Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Aisling a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission. She nods. Before you go, however, Stephanie, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience over everything else. Prove you can follow, and this might turn into a mutually beneficial relationship. I will await his return, and his report. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. I will say, Clan Tremere is very, very interesting, because even within the greater scope of society of the Camarilla, at least in 5th edition from what I understand, they are still very insular. Like, they're part of the Camarilla, and there is, usually they're part of the Camarilla as well, but they're kind of almost independent in their own way, because they have their own very rigid set of hierarchies as well, which is very fascinating. Outside, Agathon leads you to his car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind a wheel. Somehow you'd expect a more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. God, his eyes in that mirror just... Oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Totally not intimidated in the slightest. Yes, Berserk Boy. Tremere are like the blood sorcerers, the blood mages. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought. Either that, or he's a very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So, where are we going? Williamsburg. There's a place there that our missing colleague frequented. He seems to be thinking of the right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There's likely a couple hundred of us kindred in New York. Yet you seek me out, specifically. Why? For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. You were on it. I see. Once more he grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. Okay, I can try. You recognize the place. It's where you were embraced a mere few nights back. Funny how this restaurant is apparently a vampire magnet. Oh no. Oh, things are gonna go great. Once we're in, I need about half an hour of focus. And some space. It'll be up to you to keep attention away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead, I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. 1 second, just need some tea. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for the night. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. Picked my voice from Salvo Holder, the London butcher teams out with the blood sorcerer for a restaurant heist. Oh, I can certainly endeavour to try on that part. I was delighted to see how you all enjoyed my lovely little story. And the detective and I are getting along swimmingly. My martini was delicious as well. I'm going to hold off on using any of our powers until I think I need to, because my blood is looking kind of low. Oh, and thank you for the stretch check, Wolf Warrior. Oh, good. Hey, we're not your regular customers. In fact, we're location scouting for a movie. We'll just take a quick look around and we're gone. No, I'm sorry, we're not interested in being featured in a movie. I will have to ask you to look elsewhere. I would suggest Smith's and Walensea, or the 21 Club. Okay, at this point, I would say let's grease the wheels a little bit with presents, shall we? Hey, it's all good. We can come in. We'll be in the VIP lobby. It won't take long. The man blinks. A confused smile appears on his face. Yes, of course. Not a problem. Please, come right in. You walk in, trying to look casual, and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. This is a familiar sight. The same place where you had your last meal as a mortal. Strange, you should feel something, but the lavishly decorated room looks almost plain to you. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or, at least, that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his usual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's unusually cold, and Agathon soon discovers why. Looking behind the curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and lock look like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. Whoever Juno is, it looks like she's no longer here. A flash of fury sparks in his eyes. Yeah, no kidding. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door, I'll need some time. Half an hour at the very least. Nobody disturbs me, understand? Oh. Quick check on Silka. How's the priestess of Malthra doing? Oh, Silka's an absolute darling. She's doing very well. She's a very well-behaved little thing. He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants out of the way, moves a bar stool and takes out a curved knife. Cutting into his own arm, he lets some of the blood drip onto the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up, the way his flesh oozes the deep red, thick vitae. Oh, I have to say I like where this is going. In life, you'd have found it stomach-churning, but right now you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheaths the knife and seals the wound. With the other, he smears the blood around him while muttering some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's all more than a little disconcerting, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly as thin wisps of smoke surround Agathon. He sits down in the middle, legs crossed, eyes closed, minutes pass. Agathon's face twitches from time to time, and his head turns every now and then, as if he were looking around or listening in on a conversation. The smoke grows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expect something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. Oh, Samuel, don't worry your pretty little head off. Silk is not exactly to my taste, and those... I imagine those antennae get stuck between your teeth. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes you're left to your own devices. Then suddenly the door opens slightly and the manager leans into the room. You tense up for a second, but he just gives you an awkward smile. Anything you need? You shoo him away before he can take a closer look at your companion, and he retreats obediently. 2 minutes later, Agathon casually gets up off the floor and walks over to the sofa. He pushes his hand in between the cracks of the upholstery and fishes something out. He then turns to you and nods. We're done here. Let's go. You make your way back to the elevator, passing the manager on your way. He gives you a slight, somewhat confused smile, but neither him nor any of his staff get in your way. I think we did well, guys. Despite that, the elevator ride down feels tense and the two of you only relax once inside Agathon's car. He starts the engine and takes a right at the Continental Army Plaza, back onto the bridge. You're just about to say something when he beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. Oh, Agathon likes us. I hope he likes us, and he's not just plotting our death. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance. And you seem capable enough. I'll keep it, the conversations mostly business. So I'm guessing you found what you came for? Sort of. Enough to continue my search at any rate. That seems to deplete a social battery for the night. You drive the rest of the way in silence. And I believe this comes to the end of this particular Pick My Voice. Oh, this was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed my newest ASMR tale featuring the delicious cannibal, the London Butcher. If you haven't already, be sure to check it out on my YouTube channel. But thank you so much, Salvaholder. This was fun. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves at you absent-mindedly, once again lost in his thoughts, hopelessly so. One of these nights you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows, if you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through his stoic facade and meet the man underneath. The hunger calls to you. The city's skyscrapers, the seemingly never-ending sprawl of the boroughs, it's all a prison. You need to get out. You need to take back control over your life this instant. The memory of your sire's frosty blue eyes mocks you, tempts you to show you your dominance, to prove you have the guts to take what you want. Feeding, that's just the thing. Coaxing, no, ordering a mortal to bend to your will, drinking deep from their lifeblood. Faces pass you by, while some look more ravishing than others, any would do right now. You compose yourself, your rational mind fearing a blatant breach of the Masquerade's temporary hold over the beast and its compulsions. Calming yourself is a small victory in and of itself. This semblance of command will have to do for now, but it won't last. You need to quench this hunger before it overtakes you and makes you lose control. I need to feed. But I believe it's time for us to rest. Not long after you wake up tonight, Gregory knocks on the door of your apartment. Hey, I came to pick you up. Miss Langley wants to see you. Sophie? Sophie wants to see us? Any idea what she needs me for? I'm not in the position to ask. He smiles politely. The car's waiting. Shall we? You wrestle with the same thoughts as a few nights ago. Maybe you should just leave, disappear, let Sophie find someone else to employ. But then you remember the anarch thug being cut down by Qadir and how close you were to the same fate, not even a week ago, and that it might still happen if you step out of line. You follow suit. As with your previous visits here, Sophie seems not entirely present when you enter. Her eyes are locked onto one of the paintings in the room. You're pretty sure it was here earlier, but she's behaving as if she's seeing it for the first time in her life, entirely entranced. Gregory clears his throat. Sophie turns to the both of you, a bit of irritation in her countenance that soon gives way to a pleasant, warm smile. You're here. Excellent. Thank you, Gregory. Her driver leaves and she turns her attention to you. I hope you had a good few nights and made some new acquaintances, but I have to say, I'm happy to see you, Stephanie. Thank you for coming. The change in mood of the room is so sudden and startling, it makes you consider the true power of vampiric charisma. Rationally, you know you're being manipulated, but you don't even care. We love you, Sophie. Her eyes, her motions, her entire body language all feel 100% genuine in expressing legitimate interest in you and your well-being. Of course, like, she adopted us. She has to care, right? Right? I have a request for you this night. I need you to find somebody for me and make a delivery. She points to the statue at the side of the room. You notice a plain-looking flash drive lying on the edge where the inanimate archer's bow touches the pedestal. Sorry, I'm a little tired tonight. The man you'll be looking for calls himself Kaiser. He has eyes and ears all over New York, and it's rare for something to happen here without his knowledge. I'll need you to take this flash drive and bring it to him. In exchange, he will give you an address, which I need to know as soon as possible. You're about to ask what's on the drive, but Sophie proves to be one step ahead of you. Oh, don't worry about the contents. They are encrypted, a precaution for if the data falls into the wrong hands. But it won't, correct? She gives you a smile that, just a handful of nights ago, would have made would have made you feel like melting. Oh, and Stephanie, Kaiser is a Nosferatu, that twisted, deformed lineage of kindred. He is old, and his age has made him even more paranoid than others of his clan tend to be. He holds many havens and changes them often. From what I've gathered, he or one of his servants should be found at the park on Coney Island tonight. You'll have to identify them somehow. I'm told Kaiser spent many of his nights these past few years being driven around in the city in a black limo. Maybe keep an eye out for it. That smile again, much shorter. No, just... We will do as you say, Sophie. Anything more you can tell me about Kaiser? He's been here a long time, about as long as I have. He's gotten into a lot of trouble for exchanging information with both the Anarchs and the Camarilla in the past, but ultimately got off scot-free. Kaiser's web of information proved to be strong enough to shield him from the consequences of playing both sides. Some say that's the best proof of his abilities. In any case, be careful when talking to him. He's very particular about everyone's etiquette except his own. Good night, and good luck. She flashes one last smile at you and turns back to the painting, clearly done with the conversation. You pocket the flash drive and head out to Coney Island. It takes you the better part of an hour to reach the lights and sounds of Coney Island amusement park from the city. The drive is almost pleasant this time of night. Thank God for Belt Parkway. There are plenty of people here tonight, but nobody who stands out as travelling purveyor of secrets. Then again, if they did stand out, it would be kind of pointless, right? Nothing to do but figure out the right approach. I'm not going to ask around. I'm going to search, look around. There are plenty of nooks and crannies to investigate around here, but if Kaiser frequents the area, there has to be some sort of clue to grab onto, right? You spend a good hour snooping around, eyes peeled for the black limo Sophie mentioned, or any sign that a Nosferatu, or any vampire, has their haven around these parts. Zilch. Annoyed, you turn back towards the lights of the amusement park, only to find a man standing in your way. Wearing an oversized jacket, he has an air of a junkie or dealer about him. Who knows what he's got in those pockets? You lost. I'm not going to drop Kaiser's name yet. No, I'm not lost. Just taking in the sights. Sure you are. He looks at you intently, like he's trying to guess your real purpose here. Get out of here before I kick your ass. I'm not going to pick a fight with him. I worry about dropping the name too early, just in case this is a test of some kind. Because I think if I do that, he's just going to ask, what guy? And it's going to bring us back to Kaiser anyway, so I'm just going to... I'll ask about Kaiser? Sure, man, whatever you say. Just tell me if you know a guy named Kaiser and I'll be on my way. Nah, I don't know who that is. He's a terrible liar, clearly full of shit. Okay, I don't see any blood around the edges, so I think we are... Do we have enough blood in our system? I don't think I can do that one. Yeah, I don't have enough blood. And if guy works for Kaiser, I don't want to feed on him, just in case of pissing someone off. Okay, I'm just going to try intimidating him and not use my powers just yet. Listen, man, I need you to contact your boss and I need you to do it now. Quit wasting my time or things will get unpleasant real soon. He doesn't take that well. He reaches into his pocket, produces a gun. You rush him. Oh, shit. Roll for combat. The bullet hits you, but you barely notice. What would be a debilitating wound for a mortal is just a scratch for you. Shame about your clothes, though. It takes a bit of brawling. The man's stronger than you'd expect, but using your powers, you're able to overcome him. With a few hits to the jaw, the man passes out from the pain. Searching him, you find a fancy phone that doesn't look like anything readily available on the market. The phone's locked, but a recent smudge on the screen gives you a rough idea of what the combination might be. You get it right on the second try. There's just one number in the phone book, unlabeled. You dial it and hear someone pick up. The voice is like a rusty pitchfork scraping against gravel. Jackie, you're messing up my snuff session here. It better be something big. Normally I would do that. That's just gonna make him immediately hang up. Shit. I get so stressed about these choices, man. That's too threatening. And we've heard that he's, like, a paranoid fuck. I'm gonna check that it's actually Kaiser first before I say it's Sophie. Hey, is this Kaiser I'm speaking to? Silence, not even a sound. The call ends, you try calling again, but the number is blocked. Nothing to do but wait to see if he shows up. Not 15 minutes pass before a black limo stops near where you're waiting. One door opens an invitation. The inside of the limo used to be a luxury lounge, the kind with a stripper pole and a bar full of alcohol, but it currently has none of that. Instead, there are monitors and controls. There are dozens of displays, each one showing something different. Surveillance camera footage, stock market quotes, television news, emails, tweets, silent movies, lo-fi footage of a gory torture session. You wonder if the limo's owner can focus on anything while surrounded by all this visual noise, and then realize there's nobody there. Or is there? It's fucking Nosferatu. Of course they're in there! A man blinks into existence on a leather-covered couch, attempting to maintain something that approximates a regal presence. You're 100% sure it's Kaiser. Surrounded by dimly lit computer screens, his features are even more ghastly than you imagined. All sharp angles of twisted bone, mangled flesh, and crooked teeth. He bears them in an awful parody of a smile. Suddenly, someone grabs you from behind, twists your arm and pushes your head against the car's roof. Fucking hell, Jackie! I got 'em, boss, I have them. The Nosferatu chuckles. Oh, congratulations, dickweed. Could have done that before you gave away the fucking phone. Just let them go already. Kaiser looks like a fucking badass. I'm never gonna try and piss off this guy. But you're gonna make me repeat myself, you thick motherfucker. I like him. I like him a lot. He's probably a massive creep, but I appreciate him not taking any shit. He lets go. You take a look at him. The man is confused and clearly hurting. He flashes you an angry stare but obeys his boss's orders to the letter. What? Are you waiting for a formal invitation? Get in the car. We have some talking to do. The door closes behind you. Well, I'm here and I'm pissed. Unless you've got a death wish, I assume there's something you have for me. Do indulge me, or start figuring out how to drink blood with your fangs up your shit. You reluctantly pull the flash drive from your pocket and slowly pass it to Kaiser. He plugs it into a USB port on the arm of his chair and displays the data on one of the screens that happens to be turned away from you. It takes him about a minute to access the data. Let me guess. This from Langley? She said she'd have something like this. You a new flunky? You have to bite your tongue to keep from arguing with the word he chose, but you nod. Who do you people think I am? I saw this footage a week ago. Oh shit. He removes the flash drive and throws it back at you in disgust. Tell Sophie the deal's off. She wants her address. She can give me something else. I'm not going to be aggressive. I might use presence though. You take on the most persuasive voice and amicable stance you can in what basically constitutes the lair of a megalomaniacal monster. Come on, man, don't send me back empty-handed. Take the data and honor the deal. It'd mean a lot to me. The sound of the Nosferatu produces is supposed to be laughter, you think. You're pretty sure he'll fall over and die at any second if it's anything other than that. Ooh, look at me, I'm so pretty and well-spoken. I'm gonna feed you this bullshit and you're gonna cram it in and ask for seconds. Who the fuck do you think you are? You know what I should do to you for trying to pull that trick on me? Oh shit. I should mutilate your face and rub sulfur into the wounds. Rip your tongue out and use it to stuff a fucking turkey. Kaiser takes no shit. Only see, I'm in a gracious mood tonight. Plus I hate turkeys. They disgust me. So I'm gonna give you a chance to make this little transgression up to me. I'll contact you. Maybe I'll even throw in that stupid address so Langley can... I'm not gonna say that word. So Langley can shove it. But right now, unless you want me to get really pissed off, you'll show yourself out. You're pretty sure you're done here. You get out, close the door behind you, and the car immediately starts backing up. The opaque windows slide past, and soon the limo is on its way. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen. Kaiser's lackey is nowhere to be seen, so you make your way to the car and drive back, wondering what tomorrow brings. The hunger calls to you. The city skyscrapers, the seemingly never-ending sprawl of the boroughs, it's all a prison. You need to get out. You need to take back control over your life this instant. The memory of your size, frosty blue eyes, mocks you, tempts you to show your dominance, to prove you have the guts to take what you want. Feeding. That's just the thing. Coaxing, no ordering a mortal to bend to your will, drinking deep from their lifeblood. Faces pass you by. While some looks more ravishing than others, any would do right now. You compose yourself, your rational mind fearing a blatant breach of the Masquerade's temporary hold over the beast and its compulsions. Calming yourself is a small victory in and of itself. The semblance of command will have to do for now, but it won't last. You need to quench this hunger before it overtakes you and makes you lose control. I need to feed so badly, but we've only been given one opportunity. Fuck. Okay. Before I go out and talk to one of these other individuals we have to make friends with, let us read some new words. Let's learn some words, shall we? Regent. Every chantry has a regent. The regent is responsible for the tutelage of all other Tremere in the domain. While the regent may not teach them personally, she must ensure all Tremere are being educated. The regent's other duties extend to the clan's protection in the domain, and sometimes its representation on the Primogen Council. Chantry. A traditional name for the Tremere headquarters in a city, usually part shelter, part library, and part laboratory. Lineage. A vampire's bloodline. The kindred sire, etc. An archaic term. Oh, thank you for the stretch check, Clonsedator. Good, I needed that. Yeah, I don't think we can really go home. I think you can only do these feeding interactions when it's prompted, but I think like the next opportunity we'll get, we're going to have to feed. Since we're on the themes of Nosferatu this evening, why don't we get to know this new Nosferatu, who has ties to Qadir, because I like Qadir, and I want to make sure that we're being useful to him. And yes, Clantonay was very much appreciated, because it was a good moment for us to relax and unwind, because I was very tense during that. Gumshoe in the dark. A recent string of violent killings has the Red Hook district of Brooklyn on edge. Sophie mentioned that Qadir al-Asmai has a secret associate investigating the murders, a Nosferatu neonate by the name of D'Angelo. If you help him out, he might be persuaded to form a lasting partnership. As you make your way down Clinton Street, the incessant hum of traffic gives way to the ominous silence of the waterfront. You stop to take in the familiar bouquet of the Hudson, made all the more potent by your recently sharpened senses. Across the basin, the Red Hook grain terminal rears its rusty frame, once a bustling industrial area, now a sleeping giant splayed out on the riverbank, forgotten, abandoned. Conveniently so, especially for one of the hidden. Keeping to the shadows, you sneak closer to the dilapidated complex, making your way past hole-ridden silos and wobbly chain-link fences. By the time you reach the entrance to the main building, you can almost feel the rust particles making themselves cozy at the back of your throat. Not getting your hopes up, you give the door a slight nudge. To your surprise, it gives almost instantly. Looks like someone's been using it recently. Once inside, you find yourself in a large, empty hall. Looking around, you can almost picture it back in its heyday, stacked to the rafters with heavy machinery. You notice a set of stairs leading up to the mezzanine, most likely an office space. And then you see it, a faint light coming from one of the upper rooms. Looks like you're in luck. Quietly, with bated breath, you climb the steps and approach the dimly lit room. The door creaks open, revealing what looks like an old-timey detective's office, complete with crooked window blinds, an overflowing ashtray, and paper scattered across a wooden desk. Suddenly it hits you. That nagging feeling. This is all too convenient, too inviting. Before you can react, the trap has already sprung. A plume of cigar smoke wafts over your shoulder. The barrel of a gun rubs against your spine. A raspy voice whispers in your ear. Let me guess. Took a wrong turn on the third silo. I'm going to attempt to talk him down because I'm here on business. You decide to play along. Raising your arms slowly, you weigh your next words carefully. You're pretty sure a bullet to the back won't kill you, but it doesn't sound too pleasant either. That seems insulting. I'm not sure of his personality yet, so I'm not sure if he's going to be insulted by that, so I'm going to go with that one. Easy now. Let's not do anything rash. That's good advice, kid. I suggest you take it. Any way you want to play this, I'm all in. So what'll it be? The easy way or the hard way? I'm not going to hit him. He has a gun to me. Let's go with easy. I'm here to talk. Good call. In a strange interplay of light and shadow, the stranger reappears behind his desk. Seeing him in his full, or for lack of a better word, glory, you can't help but smirk. This is the dreaded Nosferatu? The way Sophie described him, you were expecting some grotesque monstrosity, but this guy? The clothes, the swagger, the hard-boiled detective routine, it all comes across as a bad joke. Still, when it comes to appearance, his lineage is undeniable. From 30 feet away, he could probably pass for a bum with a nasty skin condition. From 5 feet away, he looks like something made to be seen from 30 feet away. Okay, I like that. That's a good line. That's a good line. I like that. He leans back in his chair, casually pointing his gun at you. So, what brings you to my humble office? You the one they call D'Angelo? That's my name, kid. Don't wear it out. My friends call me Jin, so you best stick to D'Angelo for the time being. Now I suggest you tell me what this is about. Otherwise, I kindly ask you to get the fuck out of my office. Drop Qadir's name. Charming. I can see why Qadir keeps you around. His expression sours. Not a name you want to casually toss around, kid. But hey, I get it. You're not some random schmuck who wandered in here off the street. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Yeah, I love that his hat is just no. Just don't even fucking try me. Who I work for is less important. What I'm working on, however. The Red Hook murders. I know. I want to help you catch the killer. His mouldy lips twist into a smile. Do you now? D'Angelo lowers his shades. For a few seconds he sits motionless with his eyes fixed on yours. Suddenly he raises his gun, almost making you flinch. Almost. Then he twirls it into his shoulder holster in a flashy display that definitely looks like it was practiced. A lot. In front of a mirror. You see the Nosferatu's lips move, but the quiet mumbling clearly isn't meant for your ears. Listening in, you're able to catch snippets of his monologue. Sure, they seem to care. What was the endgame? What was their angle? Everyone's got one, even if they pretend like they don't, especially then. What the hell? Maybe this town finally got to me. He pauses, sticks a fresh cigar between his crooked teeth. Maybe a good leap of faith is just what the doctor ordered. Offer him a light. As he reaches into his pocket, you flash a lit lighter before his eyes. Or maybe you could use a healthy dose of unhealthy. For a split second, he gives you a puzzled look. Then he leans over to your lighter, puffing on the cig as it catches fire. A wry smile comes back to his lips. I like you, kid. You might look like a used car salesman, but there's just something about you. Because I want him on my side. I want him to join my coterie, so I am just schmoozing him and just playing into this delusion. Just not making him feel weird, not pointing out that this is kind of weird. Just, we've got shit we need to do. Is this a guy who fights bums or a bum that fights? And the answer is yes. Just yes. And hey, agent, how's it going? Glad you could join us. Tell you what, I was just about to head back to the crime scene. Take a look around, refresh my notes. You can tag along if you want to. I can use an assistant. Someone to take notes and make wild assumptions for me to shoot down. Who knows? If you're any good, I might consider making this a long-term arrangement. Sounds good? Sure it does, kid. I'm the one who said it. There's one more thing. You still got me at a disadvantage here. Seems like you've done some digging on me, but with you, I've barely scratched the surface. You catch my drift? So answer me this. Who was it that sent you into my neck of the woods? Or, in layman's terms, who do you work for? Drop the name. He's familiar with Qadir, so he will be at least somewhat familiar with Sophie. Sophie Langley. For the first time since you got here, the Nosferatu adopts a look of genuine surprise. His eyes wander for a moment, finally giving way to a crooked smile. So you're the one, huh? The fledgling the Toreador dame spared. Yeah, that would make sense. Don't think she'd appreciate you throwing her name around. Thanks for being up front, kid. One blink is enough for you to miss D'Angelo vanishing from his chair. Then, just when you're about to look around, he reappears right next to you. Up close, his smile is even more unnerving. And I would imagine, like, his breath fucking reeks. Like, that kind of scent where it's so bad that you can taste it and, like, your eyes start watering. Oh, God. Alright, moonlight's burning. Let's get cracking. With a certain fascination, you watch D'Angelo stumble his way across West Brooklyn. Oddly animated, incessantly scratching his face and neck, stopping every once in a while for about a mumbling narration. He is most certainly a sight to behold. Still, he seems to be getting around okay, and you take particular note of the fact that he seems to be choosing the darker, less frequented streets. This is definitely a method to his madness. Eventually, your leprous guide takes a sudden turn off of Van Brunt Street and into a particularly dingy alleyway. The torn pieces of yellow police tape are a dead giveaway. This has to be the place. Well, here we are. Time for you to earn your stripes. This is where they found him. Drained dry, not a drop of blood in him. And before you ask, no, I didn't get to see the body, so I don't know if there are any bite marks. So, what can you tell me? You take a moment to examine the crime scene. Judging by the chalk outline on the pavement, the man was killed recently. Curiously, there doesn't appear to be a trace of blood or viscera. As you know, the city's cleanup crew isn't that fast, or that thorough. Looking up, you notice a spray-painted sign on the wall. It says, "The blood speaks," in big crooked letters. You look at D'Angelo. The Nosferatu gives you an expecting look. The graffiti's a massive fucking clue. Nah, we need to prove ourselves a bit. Did you say the victim was drained dry? Because I don't see a trace of blood anywhere. Good eye, kid. It's the details that count. And given that the murder was committed right here and the victim didn't make a sound, we can therefore conclude that... I would say used a sedative because there was no sound made. I can only used a sedative. And then what? Pump out the blood without spilling a drop with people nearby. Nah, kid. Only one set of tools can do it this quickly and this quietly. He smiles and taps himself on one of his fangs. We're looking for a kindred, but not just any kindred. Take a look at that graffiti. What do you think it means? Okay, that's interesting, because the graffiti said the blood speaks. I think it's meant to throw them off. Nothing. It's meant to throw us off. Now, I can see why you'd think that, but look at how crooked the letters are. Barely legible. You can't fake something like that. Someone was very nervous. Very scared. Definitely meant something to them. Tell me, if you were to guess, which clan would you say our killer belongs to? Ooh. I would say, like, given the paranoia, maybe Malkavian? Maybe it's a Malkavian serial killer. They're pretty nuts, right? Oh, that's a bit mean. Nah, kid, the Moonies can be a bit playful, but there's a method to their madness. It leaves a certain aftertaste. This right here just reeks of desperation. I might be jumping to conclusions, but my money's on the Thin Bloods. Oh shit, are we gonna be like picking on some Thin Bloods now? Damn it, okay, fine. He pauses, spits out the mangled remains of a cigar. Shit, looks like we're gonna have to pay Larson a visit. You don't sound too happy about it. It's complicated. Larson's got a neat setup, for a Thin Blood anyway. Lives with his family. A mortal family, mind you. So what you're saying is he brought snacks. Sorry. Even though he's a primogen, he's managed to shield them from kindred politics. And that takes some doing. Not sure if he knows who the killer is, but he could probably make an educated guess. In any case, we've been doing him a favor. If it turns out one of his is violating the Masquerade, it will put him in a hell of an awkward position. And I mean shitting upside down awkward. It's the kind of weakness the other primogen would love to exploit. His position on the council is bad as it is. He pauses for a moment and mumbles to himself, but it's too quiet for you to make out. Finally, he lights up a fresh cigar. He takes a puff and lets the smoke escape through his crooked smile. Alright, kid, let's get this over with. Compared to the industrial ugliness of Red Hook, Sterling Place is quite a change of scenery. It's a nice-looking neighborhood, I have to say. The heavily gentrified and pleasantly dull residential area emanates the sort of peaceful apathy that rich hipsters scoff at and blue-collar workers dream of. All of a sudden, the Nosferatu stops. It almost seems like he was taking a deep breath, steeling himself for things to come. This is the place. With that, he points to a surprisingly nice-looking two-story house. The place is almost completely dark. Almost. You notice a dim light shining through the curtains of an upper-story window. It's probably safe to assume that the head of the family is working late, especially if the head of the family happens to be a vampire. Okay, kid. We gotta be gentle about this. I'm talking velvet gloves, soft cushions, you rang my lord, gentle. We need to get Larson out here without making a fuss or letting his family see us. If we blow this, he'll shut down like a speakeasy on raid night. Trust me, I know. Okay, so what's the plan? Tell you what, how about you take the lead on this one? Oh, things are gonna go great. I'm curious to see how you handle it. You take a step back and look around the area. The lit-up window seems like a safe bet. Now it's just a matter of getting Larsen's attention. His and no one else's. As you try to come up with a viable strategy, you are suddenly startled by a loud noise. It takes you a second to identify the sound as a dog's barking. It doesn't take you long to figure out where it came from, as a bearded man leading a Rottweiler on a leash comes into view. Oh, fuck. I'm super fucking hungry. Oh, no. I'm so hungry, but I can't screw this up. But we've gone days without feeding. I think I need to do it. I've got to do it. I'm sorry. As you turn towards the man with the dog, D'Angelo gives you a worried look. Kid? Shushing him with a gesture, you plunge in the shadows and crouch behind a well-trimmed hedge. True to his word, D'Angelo follows your lead, though he doesn't seem too happy about it. You best not be thinking what I think you're thinking. You tense up, waiting for the man to get closer. When he does, you spring from the darkness, grabbing both of his arms and sinking your teeth into his neck. His blood gushes into your mouth, thick with surprise and laced with just enough fear. It's all so quick and yet so sublime. The man goes limp. His best friend does not. The dog goes off on a barking spree that would make a dead man cover his ears. You tear away from your victim, ready to let the beast loose on the hapless canine. D'Angelo, however, is quick to curtail your murderous appetite. The detective approaches the animal, looking it straight in the eyes. He mumbles something under his breath, an oddly melodic whisper. Mesmerized by the chant, the dog grows quiet and lays on his back, allowing D'Angelo to pat its belly. Suddenly you notice lights turning on in some of the houses. D'Angelo gives you an angry look and points to the unconscious man in your arms. Get him out of sight, now! Heeding his advice, you hoist the man up over your shoulders and carry him to the nearest bush. Just as you're getting up, a very unassuming and slightly unshaven man in a turtleneck approaches D'Angelo. He doesn't seem happy to see him. Are you fucking insane? I mean, I know you are, but this is nuts even by your standards, D'Angelo. You glance over at D'Angelo. He looks somewhat embarrassed, scratching the back of his neck, clearly trying to find the right angle to play this. Fucking dog. Okay, no. You know, we've already fucked things up a bit. I'm gonna let D'Angelo speak first. Actually, no, we need to apologize. You must be Larsen. Sorry about the fuss, but we needed to get your attention. By feeding right next to my house? What the hell is wrong with you? Get the hell out of here. We will, once you tell us what you know about the Red Hook murders. The what? What in the hell are you babbling about? D'Angelo, what's going on here? It's about the Red Hook murders. We think one of yours is responsible. Bullshit. A Duskborn's got enough trouble just staying alive out here. What could possibly make them openly violate the Masquerade? Desperation. The killer's been leaving messages. Whoever they are, I think they know something. Something they can't share with just anyone. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's the only way this puzzle fits together. Nah, I don't buy it. You're just reaching, trying to find a scapegoat. Getting your boss's good graces. Word gets around, D'Angelo. Do you think I don't know who you're working for? Then help us clear your people's name. What have you got to lose? Everything. I've been a thorn in the council's side for a while now. This is just the excuse they need to get rid of me. What if it turns out one of yours did it, and you sat on your hands to protect him? You think the council won't jump on that? He looks off into the darkness, pondering his options. He lets out a heavy sigh. Look, I'll ask around, consult my sources. If it turns out one of my own is responsible, they will face justice. In the meantime, keep your deductions to yourself. I have enough trouble as it is. Deal. I think the game wants to produce tense feeding situations by depriving the player of having an easy minigame in order to feed, so you always have max blood pool at any given scene. Honestly, I agree, Salvaholder, because especially as this game, you're starting out as already like, you've got a lot of tasks that you have to accomplish, and this is just like a new thing that you have to worry about, so you have to do like a lot of things each night, and then it's like, oh, you need to like somehow squeeze like feeding in there as well, and so it adds to the tension and makes each choice matter, which is a really, really good thing because it just makes the game so much more tense and engaging. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my family. And with that, Larson retreats to the elusive safety of his home. You decide it's best to move along. You walk a couple of blocks in utter silence. Even D'Angelo's mumbling seems to have taken a back seat. Oddly enough, you find his newfound reticence somewhat unnerving. Finally, the Nosferatu stops and turns towards you. Oh, he's pissed, isn't he? Hell of a night. I don't know about you, kid, but I'm sure I could use a drink. Something warm, in a tall, sweaty glass. But first, let me tell you your score. Let's see now. You did make a good first impression. I like someone who can talk themselves out of a tight spot. Talking's cheap. Bullets, not so much. You held your own at the crime scene. Nothing I hadn't figured out on my own, but hey, we can't all be professionals. Finally, when the situation called for subtlety, you managed to avoid unwanted attention. Discretion is what separates a private dick from just any old dick. All in all, you did fine. Not fine, but not bad for your first case. Don't let it get to your head. I'll be in touch. Let me know if I hear from Larson. Be ready to meet me at the office. Hell yeah! He's now a friend. He doesn't hate us. He starts to walk away, but suddenly stops and turns back towards you. And bring a notepad. Every good assistant should have one. We can do that. Okay, I think dawn is just on the horizon, so let's rest up. You're walking down the street towards your haven. In some other towns, sidewalks would be deserted this time of night. In New York City, there are plenty of passers-by going about their business. It's easy to be paranoid when you're a vampire surrounded by a crowd of humans. The kindred have many enemies, and all those enemies have one trait in common. They're invisible, indistinguishable from normal humanity. Other vampires, hunters, all look like people. Is that old man just a tired restaurant worker, or a kindred thrall tailing your movements? Are the officers idly waiting in a patrol car ordinary cops, or Second Inquisition specialists looking to end undead threats? This kind of thinking leads to madness, but you can't shake the feeling that someone is watching you. It's not the first time you felt like this. Whatever this is, it's probably something you have to take care of. Best case, someone is trailing you. Worst case, you'll be attacked and killed. Unfortunately, being undead has its limitations. The sun is coming up soon and you'll burn to a crisp if you stay on the streets. You reach your haven and settle in for the day, disconcerted by the idea that somebody might know where you sleep. Okay, so we're being stalked. Someone's following us. As you wake from your slumber and emerge from your haven for the night, you notice a familiar face on the other side of the street, standing on a corner and looking straight at you. It's Kaiser's lackey whom you met recently, Jackie. He nods to you, encouraging you to approach. He still looks kind of rough after your last brawl, but the damage to his face is clearly mended. His hands are out of his pockets, though. A sign of goodwill? That's close enough. Let me guess, this is not a social visit. Kaiser sent you? Don't say his name out loud, idiot. He takes a look around, just to make sure nobody's listening to your conversation. Oh, thank you for the hydrate check, Carcinator. Much appreciated. Thank you. Supposed to give you this. He produces a crumpled piece of paper from his jacket pocket and hands it to you. Read it, memorize it, then give it back here. It's a letter, The paper might just be a page ripped out from a spiral notebook, but the writing on it is exquisitely detailed and deliberate. It reads... Okay, I have a feeling we're going to be quizzed on this later, so I'm actually going to write this down. Time to square up your debt to me. Go to the wine shop at 232 Mulberry Street and ask for the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro. Okay. Okay. 232. It's the 1821... When they tell you they don't have it, say you are a fedele servitor delle familia. G. Okay. Fuck. Don't forget the G. Make sure you get the G right. You'll get a bottle. Just take it and leave by saying grazie. Don't ask how much it is or anything else. Just walk out. When you have it, come back to Jackie Boy here and let him know. God, I could not do this if this was like a real life situation because I'm not the best at remembering like short term things, so I would have forgotten all the shit. You done? Memorize that shit and hand it over. Didn't thank your boss for a letter kind of guy. Isn't electronic communication his whole shtick? Yeah, well, some things are better done the old-fashioned way. You about done with the letter? You note the phrases and address mentioned in the letter, then hand it back to Jackie. He immediately reaches for a lighter and burns the letter, putting out the ashes with his boot. So yeah, when you do what the boss asks, come back here so I can tell you where to go next. I'll be in the alley over there, so find me when you have the item, whatever it is. I don't know, and the boss made it extra clear that I shouldn't care, so I don't. See ya. He shuffles away and leaves you to peruse the lead from the letter. Time to pay a visit to Nolita. You arrive at the address mentioned in the note. Not counting local restaurant patrons, the street is mostly empty at this time of night, but curiously, the wine shop is still open. Inside, a small middle-aged woman with curly hair stands behind the counter in front of a wall filled with wine bottles. There's a door at the back of the room with a small table and chair, occupied by a man in a black faux leather jacket with slick, comb-backed hair. He's reading a newspaper but pauses as a little bell rings when you open the door. He takes a sip from a small steaming cup, then gets back to his broadsheet. Good evening, how can I help you? Just be direct. I'd like a bottle of the 1821 Special Reserve Donatello Negro Amaro, please. Let me check our stock. She seems to be looking through a database on the laptop sitting on the counter. She puts on a polite smile. I'm afraid we don't have that one at the moment, sorry. Recite the phrase, straight and simple. I'm a fedele servitor della familia, G. Ah, in that case, let me see if we have any in the back. Wait here, please. The woman leaves the counter and goes through the doors in the back. The man by the table puts down his newspaper and takes another sip from the cup, washing it down with a gulp of water from the nearby glass. He tries to hide it, but there's no doubt he's watching you. About a minute passes. Remain silent and wait. You remind yourself of what Kaiser wrote in the letter and keep quiet, patiently waiting for the woman to return from the back of the store. The man finishes his drink and starts doodling on the newspaper, his eyes darting to you every so often. The doors to the back of the store opens and the proprietor emerges with a small, unlabeled, squat bottle of crimson liquid. She gives you an apologetic smile. "Scusi, sorry for taking so long. Turns out we did have it." She offers you the bottle and you reach out to grab it, but she retracts it. "You do know what this is, do you?" I'm not going to use my powers. No. Because there's no other option. I have to say something. "Well, this is a wine shop, so it's wine, surely." "Well, of course, the best kind of wine. Enjoy." She winks at you. Deciding you've pushed your luck far enough, you nod and exit the store, and then take a brisk walk to your car. Nobody follows you as you leave Nolita and drive back to your apartment. It takes you some time to find a parking spot, but you finally get out of the car and start looking for Jackie. He's not far from where you parted ways just under 2 hours ago. Got the goods? Sure do. "And hey, Noah, how's it going?" "Good. Stand by. Gotta make the call." He takes a few more steps into a narrow space between two buildings and takes out the same high-tech phone you saw him carrying last time. "Hey, boss. Yeah, they have it. Where do I point them to?" "Okay, yeah, I'll tell them to go there right away." He puts the phone back in his pocket and turns back to you. "Willett points. Half an hour, so you better step on it. See you around." With only a flippant salute, Jackie starts walking down the street. You make your way back to the car and drive. You had to push the speed limit to make it on time, but you're there. Willett's Point is quite a change of scenery. The place is a post-industrial dump, the nearby stadium notwithstanding. You stop your car once you realize that if you go any further down, the potholes will kill your chassis. You step out into the one of the gashes of the asphalt, splashing in the ankle-deep water. Kaiser's limo is nowhere to be seen. In fact, the whole space is pretty much deserted, other than the apparent proprietor of a lonely bar, a middle-aged woman who's just locking the place up. No, I'm not hungry." "Wait." Standing near your car and decide to wait. Kaiser must be on his way, or if he's not, he is instead playing with one of his games that you're not, then you're not participating. You've got what he wants. Let him come to you. The bright lights of a car pulling down the road some 10 minutes later catches your attention. It's a black limo. Kaiser is finally here, it would seem. Same as last time, the car door opens but nobody comes out. You know the drill. This time Kaiser is visible when you look inside. You sit down and close the door behind you. "So you pulled it off without a hitch then. Give it here." You hand the bottle over to the Nosferatu. He uncorks it gently, takes a whiff, and puts the cork back in. "Yeah, that's the stuff. I can see you're useful beyond your charm with the subtlety of a battering ram. Good to know. Here's Langley's precious address." He passes you an envelope with what feels like a thick card inside. "I'm not pushing my luck. I am not pushing my fucking luck with him. He is very powerful, and I am very new." "Thank you, Mr. Kaiser." Yeah, I'll send Jackie over if I ever need anything else from you. How about that? Time for you to get out. Now." He waves you out of the car. With the envelope in hand, you get out, back onto the torn asphalt and decrepit surroundings. The limo slowly drives away. Finally, you can return to Sophie and bring her what she wanted. Maybe she'll give us head pats. Gregory lets you in. You hear a shrill, unpleasant laugh and you realize Sophie's having a guest over. Thomas Arturo. You met in Elysium a few nights back. That shriek is unmistakable. "Ah, Stephanie, so glad to see you. Tell me, did you two have a chance to talk previously?" Thomas speaks up before you can. "Why, yes, of course, and such a good first impression you made too. Mrs. Langley clearly did the right thing by taking you under her wing. I'm sure she thinks so too, don't you, Sophie?" I recall he didn't really like us, or at least he was he was especially arrogant for a kindred. I mean, kindreds are usually very arrogant by nature, but he seemed especially so. "Why, of course, Of course you do, of course. Well, I believe I must be going. I'll be sure to let Prince Panard know your thoughts, Miss Langley. Word for word, or as close as I can remember them." "I appreciate it, Thomas." finishing my tea. You two enjoy your night now. Good night, Sophie, Stephanie, Greggy boy. He gives you a sly smile. Sophie's driver opens the door for Arturo, and the guest steps out with a single wave of the hand towards his host and you. The doors close. He's quite the character, isn't he? Yes, quite, but he has his uses. Thomas has clout in court and access to many juicy details on everyone from the prince to the lowliest primogen. It's useful to have him at your side, even if his eccentricities require some patience. He's the I don't need glasses, but they're a statement guy. Yeah, that's valid. Speaking of patience, you've been putting mine to the test lately. Did you manage to contact Kaiser and acquire what I asked for? I do have it. He gave me this card. Apologies for keeping you waiting. She retrieves the envelope from you. What's important is that you have it. Did he give you trouble? I'm going to be honest. I'll tell Sophie. Actually, no. We had a scrap with his servant at first. Things didn't go well. I made things up. With him. I'll just be honest. I had to deal with his servant first. He's got a servant named Jackie. He was a pain to deal with. I heard all of his ghouls are like that. The apple never falls far from the tree, it would seem. She opens the envelope and looks at the card. You notice the same lettering you saw in Kaiser's note from before, but can't see the details. Her eyes widen. Yes, excellent. I need to call in some favours. I will likely be busy for the next few nights. You have my permission to show some initiative, my dear charge. I will contact you soon. With that, Sophie ushers you outside and you are left to do with the rest of the night's hours as you like. Huh. See, I feel like I need to talk to her, the gangrel, and build that connection. But I'm going to also be prioritizing stories that only pop up for like that seem like special events. So I'm going to do this one for Somebody's Watching Me Part 1. Oh, thank you for the stretch check, server holder. Oh, thank you. Let's have a little chat. Recently, you're feeling as if someone keeps tailing you. Time to confirm your suspicions. Someone is following you around. Has been for a few nights, maybe longer. That can't be a good thing. The only question is what to do about it. I'll tell Sophie because she might have better ways of dealing with it. This is clearly something more serious than what you can figure out on your own. You have to ask Sophie for help. She must have experience with all kinds of stalkers, invisible or not. You make your way to Sophie's apartment, feeling watched the whole way. It would be easier if you could shake the tail, but something tells you that's impossible. A ghoul lets you into Sophie's apartment. You're not sure how many servants she has, but their civility creeps you out. Does vampire blood do that to people, or is it just Sophie's personality? The ghoul tells you that Sophie's not in and bids you to wait in the living room. You do as directed, settling down on a sofa. As you sit contemplating Sophie's decor, you feel strange, as if the feeling of being followed on the street never really left you. Oh no, did they follow me to Sophie's place? I might have fucked up. I might have fucked up real bad. You don't have time to think more about it because Sophie strides in, clearly in a good mood. If it isn't my favourite stray, am I imagining it, or have you started to dress a little better? You stand up, too worried to waste time on small talk. I'm being followed. Some creep has been trailing me for a few nights now and I can't shake them. So you let them hear. I appreciate your initiative. This is a cause for concern, to be sure. In fact... Sophie looks around the room, suddenly startled. I can't believe it. As Sophie stands up, ready to face whatever danger she senses, an invisible force pushes aside her servant standing in the doorway. You hear the door to Sophie's apartment open and close. Sophie sighs and settles back down as the ghoul disappears into the hallway in a vain effort to catch the stalker. I suppose I should scold you, but in a town full of Malkavians and Nosferatu, that's probably useless. Sometimes this happens. This is embarrassing. You should be careful. I'll assign one of my servants to watch your haven. You leave Sophie's apartment, chastened and confused. If invisible Orlocks and jesters can follow you anywhere, how are you supposed to stop them? Perhaps it's all part of the game the kindred seem to play with each other. Hard to say if that makes it better or worse. Okay. I'm going to rest, and then the next night we'll speak to the lovely Gangrel. Oh, we've got some new faces. But I've been delaying it too long. I need to speak to her. Jezebel's child. Sophie mentioned a Gangrel neonate by the name of Tamika who's made herself a haven in Prospect Park. The ferals aren't exactly a social bunch, even by kindred standards. But if you can keep her from clawing your eyes out just long enough, she might be persuaded to join you. But what are these other ones? Faith and Myth. And a nosy reporter. Okay, let's take care of these two later because I've been putting off getting to know the Gangrel for a while. You make your way through Grand Army Plaza, passing the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arc. You can't help but feel a tinge of nostalgia as you picture the place as you've seen it countless times, in broad daylight, teeming with life. You quickly get over it and pass through the northwest gate into Prospect Park. The park is its usual maze of unkempt foliage and dimly lit alleys. Silence hangs in the air, as it would at this time of night, and there doesn't seem to be any sign of kindred presence. You start to suspect Langley's sources fed her a bunch of bullshit, but you're not willing to give up just yet. As you ponder your options, you hear footsteps coming from behind a line of trees. Quick, but evenly paced. Most likely a late-night jogger. No vampire would take kindly to you feeding in their domain, but then again, perhaps you could kill two birds with one stone. Oh, fuck! There's no other kindred around, and I really need to feed. Because, yeah, I fed previously just because it was getting really desperate. And we're going to be doing a lot of things soon, so I need more blood in my system. You lock onto the sound of footsteps. Predicting the runner's path, you move swiftly, but quietly to intercept them. You hide behind a tree and wait for your prey to get closer. Mere seconds later, a young man in an off-brand tracksuit trots into view. You notice the buds in his ears, beat-heavy music bleeding through. That should make things easier. Just as the man passes by, you emerge behind him and plant your hand firmly on his neck. He struggles at first, desperately trying to break free of your grasp, but as soon as your fangs pierce his skin, panic gives way to peaceful submission. You feel elated as the warm liquid trickles down your throat. The fresh vitae washes over your senses, sending an orgasmic shiver along your spine. Somewhere, in the deepest, darkest crevices of your mind, the beast stirs in its slumber. You stop feeding just in time. Your hunger satiated, the beast fast asleep. You sit the day's victim on a nearby bench. As the world comes back into focus, you suddenly realize that something is not right. In a split second, the air by the side of your head swells like a vortex. Driven by sheer instinct, you lean back just as a five-finger-shaped razor cuts through the darkness, missing your face by an inch. A clawed shadow jumps back a few paces, preparing to correct its mistake. You catch a glimpse of the assailant. Looks pretty animalistic, all right, but he's not the only one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. But he's not the one you're looking for. For starters, it's a he. Just as he's about to lunge at you, a snarl resonates from the bushes nearby, stopping your foe in their tracks. Out of the shadows emerges a young woman, baring her teeth ever so slightly. She walks over, calmly, her eyes fixed on your assailant. Her presence is enough to make him reconsider attacking you, but not to withdraw completely. He glances over to her, pumping up his chest. Stay out of it, Tam. I smelled her first. Tam. How about that? She raises an eyebrow, but remains silent. Her compatriot turns back towards you. You shouldn't have come here, girlie. I'm gonna fuck you up so bad you'll be wearing your tongue as a fucking necktie. Tamika looks at you expectantly. Easy there, big shot. You made your point, okay? Confirmed badass. I'm not looking for a fight. Tamika tilts her head in a way that's barely noticeable, and yet strangely expressive. She seems disappointed. The man loosens up, his lips twisting into a wry smile. Clearly, you just gave him the confidence boost he needed. Figures. You know what you look like? A stuck-up bitch. All high and mighty in a boardroom, but out in the wild, you're just a scared little girl. Well, guess what? You ain't getting off that easy, chicken shit. A fierce growl echoes across the valley, stopping the savage in his tracks. Tamika walks over to her comrade, her fangs glistening in the dull, dim lamplight. She puts her hand on the side of his head, caressing his hair and tugging at his ear as if she was scolding a puppy. I like her. She leans over and speaks in a voice that's firm yet oddly affectionate. It's okay, Raoul. I'll handle it from here. I like her. The male gangrel looks at her with a mix of timidity and resentment. Then he turns back towards you. Fine. They're not worth the effort anyway. Having said his piece, Raoul retreats into the shadows, although if you were to guess, he's likely to stay within earshot. With her companion gone, Tamika turns to you once more. What do you want? I'm going to be straight to the point. Short story, I'm new here and I'm looking for a chance to leave my mark. Maybe shaking things up a bit in the process. I could use your help. Why me? Why not? An inkling of a smile creeps across her lips. She seems to like more succinct sentences. Let's just get one thing straight. If you're looking for a hired gun, I'm not the type. And I'm not looking for a hired gun. I'm not hiring you. I'm offering you my help should you ever need it. And in time, perhaps also my friendship. Do I strike you as someone who needs a friend? You strike me as someone looking for a way out. Out of this park, for starters. Is that why you're here? To break me out? Are you my ticket out of here? That seems a bit threatening. You bet, and a hot one at that. So how about it? Want to hang out with the fresh new kindred on the block, or stay out here and frolic with the bunnies, or whatever it is you do? So what's it going to be? For a brief moment she stands there motionless, looking straight into your eyes as if trying to size you up. Finally she looks away. It looks like she's come to a decision. Just so that we're clear, I don't trust you. I have no reason to. Frankly, you sound more lost than I am. Still, there's something about you. You look like you should reek of bullshit, but somehow you don't. So I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. I have some outstanding business to take care of. I'll let you know once that's done. Meet me here, and we'll see what you're really made of. And with that, Tamika disappears into the night. That went pretty well, all things considered. Oh, hell yeah! Okay, I'm really curious about that conversation we were having about faith and kindred. So I'm going to do this one. And then I think we can do that one. But I just want to wrap that one up, that particular story up. Benoit Segal wants to meet you again at the cathedral. You wonder whether the mysterious priest will be there. You've started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not sure what happened inside, but it was unavoidably real. You felt it. Ah, Phoenix! Thank you so much for the follow. You are now one of my lovely lost tales, and you are welcome at the Blue Rose Respite anytime. Take a seat and enjoy yourself. When Benoit mentioned being in the presence of the Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. It doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you've passed thousands of people every night, and none of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or nightclub, you would know. Oh, Phoenix! Thank you so much for the subscription, especially as you're just joining us tonight. Thank you so much for your amazing support. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you've become wary. They just might. Still, tonight, the cathedral looks as before. A striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. Hang on, I need lip balm. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions suddenly define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church has been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's faith on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew. Aren't you worried about meeting here? What if your friend, the priest, returns? Don't worry, he's not here tonight. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof. Oh, Salvaholder, that reminds me, on Stefan Chat's recommendation, I did check out Midnight Mass on episode 6, and oh boy, this series has got some interesting stuff to show. Yep, honestly, just because like we're in a particular scene where it's very much discussing faith and all that good stuff, I highly recommend, if you haven't already, check out Midnight Mass on Netflix. It's directed and created by Mike Flanagan. It's a self-contained series. I think it's 8 episodes, and it is one of, if not the best horror series I've ever seen. It's a wonderful self-contained story, so it's not going to be ongoing seasons. It's honestly, in my opinion, probably the best thing that Mike Flanagan's done, and I'm not going to spoil what is in it, and chat, if you've watched it, please don't spoil it for anyone who's interested. But yes, please check out Midnight Mass if you haven't already. It really has wonderful conversations about faith and religion and horror and death, and it's just a wonderful show. Essentially, a very brief summary, is it's set on an island, a very, very small community, and a priest comes to the island, and then weird stuff starts happening. I'm just going to say that. I don't want to spoil it. The less you know about the series, the better. But small community on an island, a new priest comes to town, and then weird shit starts happening. And it's great. And it's so good. Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too. Because I'm playing this character that they're more interested in climbing up the steps of the ivory tower, so ask what the Camarilla believes. What do the kindred of the Camarilla believe? The old ones. It's true the elders are not always so good at teaching their childer. Maybe the Camarilla would function better if we all knew these stories. Oh, Phoenix. It's leads better, in my opinion, than anything Shyamalan's done. And it's more like if you if you have a history with Christianity in particular, any religious practice, to be honest, I actually have wonderful conversations about Muslim practices as well. It's very interesting. It's mostly about Christianity and a lot about the symbolism and the iconography and about faith. But yes, I highly recommend Midnight Mass if you haven't checked it out already. But no, it is... in some ways, like, I think it was partially inspired by the Wicker Man, but it's very much more about Christianity than paganism. There are no bees, but there are cats. There are lots and lots of cats. Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody's listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in two loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago, but time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. The only problem is that old vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. Shouldn't we focus on what we can verify here and now? Our blood, the effects of Father Anthony's belief? I suppose that would be the scientific approach. Still, I can't let go of the idea that the old stories will tell us something. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Sorry, I have heard, like, because originally I was pronouncing it Cain and Abel, but someone pronounced it Cain, which it's a really nice pronunciation of that, so I'm going to say it like that. Cain walked the night, shunned by humanity, and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the second generation. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the second generation begat the third and vampires started to run amok. Oh, you take care, Noah. Thank you so much for joining us. What happened to the first city? It was lost in the deluge. Noah had his ark to save him, but our kind had to rely on our gifts of blood. If you're skeptical about this piece of history, remember that even a local flood can bring massive destruction. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants. The antediluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just. Oh, we're getting into the antediluvians. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. You do not fuck with the antediluvians. There are people moving in the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. Many of the people you've seen have been elderly or disabled, so it's not surprising that you hear the squeak of a wheelchair. What alarms you more is that you overhear an older woman speaking in a Russian accent mention Father Anthony. I have to do the Russian accent, give me a second. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. From what I've heard, he is an exceptional man. You turn to look and see two men and a woman. All three are in their 50s, clearly well worn by life. One of the men pushes the woman in a wheelchair. She's dark-haired and intense, seeming only half in this world. Yeah, exceptional. But he doesn't like moles. The speaker is shorter of the men, more animated and worried. He was probably a strong man in his youth, perhaps even an athlete. His voice carries a Midwestern accent. You're only interested in whether he likes blank bodies. You and Benoit look at each other. This is bad news. Whoever these three are, they can't be good for you. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. I think honestly walking right past them would just like be a show like, yep, nothing to worry about. You decide to stand up and walk right past the three mortals, hoping they don't realize what you are. Pretending to be mortal is second nature to all vampires, or at least it should be. Besides, not too long ago you were perfectly ordinary human. You adopt the oblivious smile of someone who doesn't suspect that anything might be amiss in God's house and take a few steps towards the aisle. Now that you get a better look at them, the three mortals approaching you have an aura of experience about them. They look like they've seen a thing or two and emerged alive. Both men have stubbles and overgrown haircuts of those whose lives are consumed by an obsession. The woman looks at you casually, then stares. She has a grey quilt on her knees. You've never met a mortal who knew how to deal with the world of the kindred. Something tells you that these three just might. Panicking, you turn around and start walking briskly towards the side of the cathedral, away from the three. You don't want to attract attention to yourself, so you pick up a brochure detailing how you can donate money to the cathedral. You pretend to study the leaflet and hope the three turn their attention away from you. The wait seems indeterminable, but you know that you can't appear hurried. Be casual, and you'll make it out. After a while, you sneak a glance and see the three of them where you were just a short while ago, around the front pew. Discreetly, you tuck away the brochure and stroll casually down the side aisle towards the exit. That was a close call. Who were those three? Did you recognize them? I might have, I'm not sure. There's talk of a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair. Okay, shit, we've got vampire hunters. Okay, everything's fine, guys. It's the Second Inquisition. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something. There's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. The traditions of the Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker, yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. Is that common among the kindred? Yes, unfortunately. The kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's... Oh, fuck! Benoit's Sophie's child? You know, I'm Sophie's child and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in questions of the spirit. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, no. Oh, no. You stare at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you, but in all the talk about Cain and the First City, you forgot about it. Now the only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know her child is talking to you? Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I find admitting some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. Hey, stepbro! I got adopted by your mum. That's interesting. I understand that you're bitter, Benoit. I'm not your enemy. I'm sorry, I know that. It's just that sometimes I too get tempted by sin. Don't we all, darling? You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. Benoit walks away and you follow his example, not wanting to hang around the cathedral any longer. Okay. The sun is just about up, so let us rest for the evening. Qadir al-Azmaid, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect him to see him already inside or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. First thing I would do is just like the frantic check of make sure everything is neat, nothing weird is out. Just like the quick check of just like, I'll quickly make the bed, shove the things in the drawer, and just like quick walk past the mirror, just check my appearance a little bit, like, okay. Evening. May I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as a permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had time to make the place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through, a secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on the shelf, obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks up one of them and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of the spirit, next to all this garbage poetry. We can make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. The kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves in to suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and rest, right? Qadir, you're weirdly talkative this evening. Usually, like, I know we spoke at length when we first got to know each other, but afterwards it's just been like, fuck off. Is everything okay? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colours. You sense a familiar fight-or-flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his last question. If Qadir is bothered by his silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Hey, Tactical Tinkerbell! Glad you could drop by tonight. How's it going? Watched the baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now, he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Wow, I'm spoiled for choice. Let me consider this for a moment. Oh yes, I too am familiar with the sports. Did you catch the game last night? That team... Oh, how they ran. Oh, they ran. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in hell and a body next to you. Spending a night in the underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next. That endless car ride. 3 strikes. A bloodthirsty crowd. That blade. A rebirth, a baptism of fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he's read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries, huh? I want to talk, but my character doesn't. There's no animosity in his voice, he's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see, but that obviously remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desire that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I used to operate. And so I am doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone but constantly lied to about everyone's pasts and motivations, even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. Your character is stuck in horny silence. God damn it, Samuel. How dare you state a fact about this character? God damn it. He sounds like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easy to detect a tinge of regret in his voice, a voice belonging to someone who had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? He's a broken man, and he's in my apartment. It's okay, Qadir. I have some blood. Let's just put on a movie and we can chat, okay? Like, we can make this work. Scarlet, let me dream, goddammit. Fuck off. Let me dream. So you see, for this detective, the why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course the kindred know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder, just like conspiracies between two unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall, a boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant, just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. Oh, was Qadir maybe blood bonded to Sophie or something? Oh. Okay. Or maybe he has a bond with someone else, maybe the prince? What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coterie so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me, and it should unnerve you as well. Oh, and what are your motivations? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Qadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since last time I saw you. Good. No, I was just distracted by your cheekbones and the haunting eyes of a broken man. We can make it work, Qadir. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. Yes, thank you. Yes. Oh, and look at that hydrate check. What a coinkydink. Thank you for the hydrate check, Matt Lloyd, man. Much appreciated, guys. The last time we met, I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of the faces of the New York City community as long as you're a part of it. It's going to be impossible to avoid me. I wasn't complaining. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who is he talking about? You mean someone I'm trying to recruit into my coterie? Qadir shakes his head. I'm monitoring them and they know it. If they're breaking the rules, they're doing it the right way, meaning I haven't learned about it yet. Unless you might want to share something. A moment of awkward silence. Joking. Mostly. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. That prick is... Did he embrace us? Benjamin Newman. The asshole who made the last few years of your life a living hell. Oh, is this our former boss? The sexual harassment, the mobbing, the way he kept delegating all his obligations to you without ever letting you reap the fruits of your labor, the way he stole your soul. Goddamn prick. You look up Qadir, expecting answers. Apparently your company is in trouble. Lots of financial irregularities, and Mr. Newman is all too happy to testify that the one employee who just suddenly disappeared is to blame. The story is as fishy as it gets, but your disappearance is being investigated and a lot of people are searching for you. It attracts attention to us, and as such, it must be stopped. Oh, fuck. Okay. So, we up and disappeared, the company is collapsing, and of course, everyone's pinning the blame on, Stephanie up and disappeared, and she had her hand in the company and our boss. So, yeah, it's totally her. It's totally her. Fuck. God damn it. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow so that you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually, these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. A lost sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears, never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean. No contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind they used to hold dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see. Of course he's invested in being kind to you, or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? Any alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. Bastard. For a long time you just sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, thinking about how revenge is a dish best served cold. Okay, so I did say I was going to do a slightly shorter stream tonight, and I think honestly, on that note, I might wrap things up here and now, because that feels like it's a great cliffhanger to end it on, to end tonight's stream on, and then we can jump back in, not next Sunday, but the Sunday after, because I do plan on finishing the main stories of this game, of just essentially playing it until we get like a game over or something. But yes, just a heads up, guys. Next Sunday will be Halloween, so I will not be streaming that night. I'll be taking that night off, but I will be posting something on YouTube. I do have a very special treat for you guys for this Halloween, so thank you all so very much for joining me. Let us get back to the menu. And let us wrap things up for tonight. Thank you all so very much for joining me this evening. If you've been lurking in the shadows and you like what you've seen so far, please consider hitting that follow. We would love to have you back at the Blue Rose Respite. You are welcome anytime. Then be sure to check out my other socials in the chat right now. My Twitter for important updates, my YouTube channel for my ASMR tales. If you haven't already checked out the one that came out last night, my deliciously wicked cannibal ASMR, and a very special treat will be coming on Halloween. But thank you all so very much. And my Instagram for like cute pictures and other fun things. And I will be streaming this coming Friday. This coming Friday will be my live narration of My Immortal. Yes, I'm doing it. I can't wait to see you there as I try my best to get through that awful, awful story. But thank you all so very much for joining me tonight. A big thank you to everyone who is a newcomer this evening, to the wonderful souls who have bought subs, who have renewed their subscriptions. I really, really appreciate your amazing continued support. You're amazing. And I cannot wait to see you next Friday. My live narration for My Immortal will be held on Twitch. Same time as my usual Friday streams, so 7:30 p.m. UK time. And I cannot wait to see you there. But thank you all so very much for joining me this evening. I will be sending you Let's send some love to Neil Newborn, shall we? But thank you all so very much for joining me this evening. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead. And remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, stay wicked and wonderful. Good night, guys.